Record. All right, welcome tonight to our monthly call. Today's focus is all about nutrition, but particularly in the sense of food tracking. So I'm going to restate it. I already said it before I started recording, but my husband and I have been being more diligent about tracking our expenses for the past year. I remember when we took our financial course last February, I believe it was, they talked about, tracking your expenses for a month and seeing where your money actually went, and then creating a budget, and then like making changes where you needed to. And, first it was like a guesstimation of like how much we spend on clothing and how much we spend on eating out. And I grossly underestimated certain things. Like clothing was a perfect example, because it's not something where I typically go out and buy all at once. I didn't realize that I was like buying a shirt at Amazon, or buying a pair of shoes here, or even socks or underwear, little things here and there, like on other like grocery trips. But when I actually started tracking, I realized, wow, okay, we spend a lot more on clothing than I thought. Whether it was like out of balance or not with our budget, it was just I underestimated it. And so food tracking is very similar. And I think that if you feel like you're struggling in any sense, or just not where you need to be or want to be with your goals, is sitting down and even tracking, like not even stressing about your containers, not even stressing about like the per se plated method, though tracking is part of it. So you can be doing it as you're going through the program, but is really sitting down for like a week and tracking your meals. And it includes tracking everything from taste off your kids' plates to sips that you have of soda, or whatever beverages you're drinking. You're tracking everything that you put in your body. And I think what the power is, then you can sit down and, in a no judgment way, but just honestly sit down and track what you've had. And I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can do it. And then the next week, what you can do is say, okay, well, I noticed I'm skipping a whole food group. So maybe that's the goal that you're going to work on, is that you're going to work on adding greens into your diet, or you're going to be focusing on portioning your vegetables for the 2B mindset appropriately. Or maybe it's cutting out something. You didn't realize that you're nighttime snacking, or that you're snacking in between meals when you're running errands, or maybe you're eating off your kid's plate. Every time that you plate their food or you pack their lunches, that you're mindlessly taking taste. And doing things like that occasionally is not a big deal. But if you're not where you want to be, there's tweaks like that. Or even it could be things like condiments or accessories that you're adding. Maybe your plate looks great. Maybe you're eating balanced and you're following the containers, but you're over consuming dressings or hummus, even though hummus is healthy. But if you're not eating it in proportion, it could be throwing you off your goals. So there's a lot of different things, and it's finding the method that works for you. I like to kind of like preemptively track by planning my meals, because I don't want to track in the moment. But initially, like I'm a pen and paper person. So I'm going to show you a couple different trackers. So 2B Mindset, if you've ordered the actual program, comes with a booklet. If you get the digital access, in a second, I'll screen share where you can find all this stuff. Oh no. Darcy says she can't hear me. Sarah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can still hear you.
Okay. Darcy, log out and log back in, maybe. Let me see.
Oh, man.
The good thing
I'm okay.
is,
I'm totally okay with being patient, but I know you're recording, so.
yeah, well, that's okay. Worst case is it is recorded. So, Darcy, I'll make sure you get it. Okay, so I'm going to show, this is the tracker for 2B Mindset. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's one way. It's figuring out what you like. Like I journal and I've used a few different ones. It's whatever one you're going to stick with that I think you need to do. If you like pen and paper, then you should go pen and paper. If you're more of a digital person, I'm going to show you that as well. So this is like the 2B Mindset one. So it has like your water. I really like hers. It has you do your daily weight, how much sleep, because we don't realize that like our sleep really can impact your weight loss. It affects your hormones and can mess up all sorts of things. So tracking that, because that might be something that you need to change. Maybe you're eating really well, but you're not sleeping. So that could be throwing off your weight loss. And then she writes down even like your meal times, because that can be affecting your weight loss as well, is if weight loss is your goal, because if you're eating late in the day, or maybe you're not eating early in the day, maybe you're waiting until like 9-10 o'clock to eat, maybe that's affecting you. It's just looking at all these things that could be impacting your goals. She also talks on the bottom, she writes like why today is great, which I think it's important to remember positive. We were talking about this before we started recording, but like there's chaos in every day, but there's also good. So taking a moment to reflect on that. She also even talks about bowel movements, which maybe TMI, but if you're like not consuming enough fiber, you may not be regular. If you're not consuming water to flush all, the fiber out of your system, that it could be causing bloating and gas and discomfort. So those are all things to be conscious of. And that's why tracking is so helpful, because it's not just one thing that can be making or breaking our progress. So that's 2B Mindsets. It's a really nice like booklet that you can carry around. And then Ultimate Portion Fix, if you've purchased the actual program Ultimate Portion Fix, same thing. It comes with like a little journal. And she does some similar things like your goals for the day, sleep. She has like a rating scale. She talks about your mood, your energy. And then she has on there all the meals with the containers. So you would like color in the containers that you had for that meal. And then like your Shakeology and what you added to it, because that's another thing, like what you're adding to your Shakeology. Shakeology is really helpful, or healthy, but like if you're adding a full banana instead of half of a banana, that's 2 purples, not 1. So it's little things. You're eating healthy, but if you're not following the portions, that could be throwing you off your game. Or maybe you're eating healthy, but you're not eating from like the top part of the food list that she provides. So little things like that can help you like refine and hone in. So if you haven't, like maybe you're saying like, okay, I haven't purchased 2B Mindset. I haven't done 2B Mindset. So what do I need? What can I do? So you have options. I'm going to start to screen share. Let me clean up my window really quick. In the group, in our Facebook group, I created it. I think actually I used 2B Mindset kind of as a model to create a journal that you can, food journal that you can print if you want that. You could also just use a notebook. You don't have to have anything fancy. You literally can just grab a blank piece of paper and write down everything you consumed that day. But if you go to the units, and then it's in helpful resources to get started, and then you scroll down and there's food journal. So you can print it out, you could copy it and make tweaks to whatever fits your style. I put in there exercise, goals for tomorrow, because I think, I have goals for tomorrow. There's things that I want to do differently to make tomorrow better than today. And that doesn't mean that today was bad. So you could do that as well. So one thing to be very aware of is that you need to first decide which path you're going to go. Are you going to be following 2B Mindset, or are you going to follow the container-based system? Now that can be Ultimate Portion Fix. But if you haven't purchased that program, once you've gone through the food journal and you've kind of figured out, okay, these are some areas that I probably should work on, then you need to look at, okay, well, how am I going to prep? How am I going to plan? What does my meal plan look like? If you have started like Morning Meltdown or The Work, they don't come with nutrition guides anymore. They're very, let me even go to The Work. Some of you I know may not be doing it. It's very like, it's just like a getting started guide to the program. The nutrition guide, it just directs you back to the Beachbody guide to nutrition. So if you purchase The Work, like I purchased it when I basically got it free when I renewed my annual BOD. But when you click on it, it's just a basic container system. So it's going to have the food list. It's going to tell you how to calculate your bracket based on like your weight. So then you would scroll down, you'd read through this guide. If you need help, like if this seems overwhelming, I highly recommend you reaching out to your coach and saying, hey, can we hop on Zoom? Hey, can we meet in person if you're not 10 hours away? Guys, I can't travel. But I'm happy to hop on Zoom and walk through this. And you can take it one step at a time. You don't have to be, we're not striving for perfection in the first week. We're looking to be making progress. And as long as you're making changes, little changes, you will continue to see progress. And I think what's great is that, it's the little things, it's the daily habits that are going to lead us to achieving that goal. So maybe we can't, say for sure, okay, we're going to lose 15 pounds, but we by showing up every day and being intentional with what we're eating will get us there. And food tracking is one of those things that can really help you. So once you figure out your guide and you've done your initial tracking, what I would recommend is then track again the next week, because tracking also makes you very, I think, aware. It's kind of like if you have to write it down, it's like, oh, do I really want to eat that? Because I got to like report it to the teacher kind of. Whether or not you're turning your tracker into your coach, it's a personal accountability too, where it's like, okay, well, or laziness. Like I admit, like I don't want to write it down. I don't have to write down that I took a bite of my kid's food. Like that's extra work. I just want to write down my 3 meals and my 2 snacks. So call me silly, but that's how I view it sometimes. So that is there for you as far as like, okay, what's the next step? And then the other thing, if you are a digital person, like I said, I'm not really, I don't love digital. I am much more a pen and paper with a lot of things like this. But if you have an iPhone, you can go to your apps and download the Nutrition Plus app from Beachbody. I know were working on an Android version, but now they are changing the Beachbody apps. They are combining things into one app that will be released in the spring. So I can't say for sure that they're still going to release a Nutrition Plus app for Android, but it might be hard for you guys to see. You can kind of see this is set for container system. What's really great about the Nutrition Plus app is that you can go through here and you can change, like, okay, you go to your profile and you realize, okay, well, I'm switching from container system. I'm going to start following 2B Mindset. So you would just, in the settings, change it. So you're then tracking following 2B Mindset. And it just looks a little bit different where you would like click on the meals and you would write in what you had. And what's great too is if you didn't really want to write, it's important to write your portions, but press for time, you can just snap a picture, which is really cool on here. So then when you go back and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I'm not losing weight, what can be my sticking point, you can go in here and be like, oh yeah, okay, I saw that I added, a lot of blue cheese on my dress or on my salad, and that's something that I could cut back on. And a tip from Ilana from To Be Mindset is she like thins out her dressings with a little bit of water, or I think she uses lemon to thin it out so the dressing will go further, so to speak, on her salad, but still taste good and give it flavor. But she's not consuming as many accessory calories as you would call them. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. But what kind of, there's a few of you on, are there questions that you have as far as tracking, or you have found hard or don't know where to start?
I have a question.
Sure.
Like some of the stuff I get hung up on is how much detail. Like, do I say I did a cup of this or a half a cup of this, or do you just write down that you had, spinach?
So the better you track, the more detailed, then it gives you more information to go off of. Now, you don't have to be perfect. Like it's not about perfection. Even with To Be Mindset, though you're not portioning things out, you should be using like an eyeball type method where it looks to be about like a handful of spinach that you put in your omelet, or maybe it was a cup, maybe you did actually measure it out. Now, I mean, you don't have to be like, you don't have to obsess about it. Like you can eyeball certain things. Like I did hummus today. Technically I'm following 3-day refresh. I should have measured it, but it was like the end of the container. And I'm like, well, that's roughly 2 tablespoons. So, I mean, it's okay. But, the more accurate you do track, then you can tweak, because the goal is to take whatever you consumed this week or the day before. And if you didn't see a weight loss, then you can make changes the next day, or you can make changes the next week and be like, okay, well, I noticed a trend that I'm eating maybe like 2 portions of yellows, or I only ate 3 portions of greens and I need 5, so I need to eat less of something else and more of that. So it just kind of like informs you better. But
Yeah.
if you're stressing about being perfect and that's preventing you from tracking at all, I would say do your best. Just like your workouts or anything, and you will probably get better over time.
Yeah. That's definitely something I got to work on, because I always hated it before I started Beachbody, and now I'm like trying really hard to stay positive about it, but I do struggle with writing it down.
Well, and I mean, like you could even, maybe you're not going to do it all week long. Maybe pick the days that you have the hardest time. Like honestly, I would probably track like everyone, the common struggle is the weekends. That might be the time where you need to track, where during the week, like you're following your meal plan. So maybe you don't need to track during those days. Like if you're doing well, if you're following through with your meal plan during the week, then it's kind of unnecessary, potentially. Like if you've got a lot going on, I would say don't worry about it on those days that you are normally doing well. And especially if you already know like your sticking point. Like if you say, okay, well, I do great all day long while I'm at work. I follow and I eat all my things, but it's the evening. So it's like maybe just track dinner for the week.
Yeah.
You don't have to track all of your meals. And you can see what the trend is, for your evening time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because that's where I do struggle, is dinner, because it's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it. And I mean, we have sticking points, and mine's typically is stress really juice too. And like that, you can write that down too. Like good thing I'm doing this 3-day refresh, because I was scouring for a second of like what's sweet that I can consume right now, and I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm just going to shovel in my mouth because I'm stressed. Like I'm not, so, you can also write that down in your journal where you notice, okay, here's the trend. I'm bored, so I went and got a snack, or I'm tired, so, I had a snack. Because then that can inform you, like, it may not even be like, sometimes we think it's like an intentional thing. Sometimes it's just like little habits. Or every time we run errands, I stop and get something out because I drive past it. So it's like, okay, well, the habit I need to change isn't the errands, but I'm going to take a different drive home so I don't pass a certain place.
Yeah.
So it's there's lots of little things that we can tweak. Other questions or things that you've found helpful?
I think for me, I was realizing I'm doing, like, I have my Shakeology for breakfast. Dinners I have planned. Like, I usually just pick something from the Fix8 website. But I am really awful at lunchtime. And I think it's like a combination of I'm stressed out from homeschooling and I'm not planning. And I was like, oh, like listening to you, I'm like, oh, that's my issue, is that, like, one, I'm not planning, and then two, I'm stressed out. So, like, where can I start? Well, I could start by actually planning those meals better. If I have something planned, then I can try to stick to it better, right?
Yeah. And I'm the same. Lunch is my hardest, just like you. Like, I have Shakeology and then I have dinner planned. But it's hard. And, for my husband, he usually would have the leftovers, and we just with the girls, and now, like, depending on the meals, if I don't increase the size, like, I only have enough for him. So I would assume there would be leftovers and there wouldn't be for me. And that could throw me off. And two, like, I think it's important to note that we can be eating healthy and, like, eating the Fix8 meal plans. But if we're not following, like, our containers, so, like, there's good Fix8 recipes, but they might not, you could have the chili and it has half a green or something. I don't remember what it does. Or like, whatever. Like, you could be still following good recipes, but
Yeah.
leaving out whole food groups. So
Yep.
that's just.
Or I love carbs. Like, I love breads, and it's a weakness. And so last night I was like, oh, I'm going to make this chicken soup. Like, I can throw all these vegetables in it. It's going to be great. And then at, like, the last minute, and I was like, my husband was running late, and, like, I was like, oh, I'll make these biscuits to go with it. And then I was like, okay, I'll just eat, like, one small biscuit. And then, like, 2 biscuits later, I'm like, what did I do?
And that's yet again, tracking comes in handy, because you're like, it was a well-planned meal and then life happened. So, the tracking can be like, okay, biscuits can't happen because I don't have control or something, like, or I have to not have it. Like, we don't. So a tip that
You're a max fireman.
Oh,
You want a max one fireman.
Don't worry, we have 2 minutes and we're going to get cut off.
okay.
Is I forgot what is. Okay. So we don't put food on the table. And I feel like sometimes growing up we did, but, like, in our household, I don't. I leave it on the stove or the counter, because, for one, my girls would want more of whatever their preferred food item is. And our rule is they have to eat their vegetables before they can have more of, like, the potatoes or something. And I noticed it with guests. If we put it on the table, like, it's just habit. We'll snack, or, if our kids are still eating, that we'll continue to eat. We're going to cut off, so I'm going to wrap this up. But anyone that's on, we can hop back on and chat. But I'm going to end this recording with this. But I hope this is helpful in the sense of tracking and kind of, like, fine-tuning things. But if you have questions, them in the group. And I'm going to hop back on for the 2 that are on, and if I can answer any questions. All right, guys, have a great night.